This podcast is proudly part of the Paranormality Radio Network. Visit paranormalityradio.com to find binge-worthy podcasts dedicated to all things paranormal and creepy. From conspiracy to cryptid, you'll find it here.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to I have a strange story podcast.
Yes. We nailed it. Good job.
So this is the podcast where two sisters retell people's strange and paranormal stories and experiences. And today we have somebody else joining us to tell us their strange stories and experiences. So I'd like to welcome to the show Bronson. Hey, Bronson.
Hi, Bronson.
Thanks for coming. We're staying safe with social distancing, but I have no idea where you are, so we probably can't be in the same place anyways. It's a win-win. Zoom for the win.
Zoom is saving lives.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Lindsay.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Bronson.
Hey, and this is the show. So it's a little different today because we have a guest, and it's exciting, and it's new, and it's different. And Bronson has a few stories to share with us about some creepy, shit.
Yeah.
We're going to listen.
Do I just dive in?
Tell us about yourself if you like, if you have anything you want to pitch.
As far as pitching, I do have like a kind of photography weird, I guess, ish Instagram. It's called @epicemium_art. And then my Reddit's just @epicemium. It's just a bunch of random stuff that I either find interesting or do or whatever I really just feel like, I guess.
That's cool. Yeah. That's actually where I got in touch with Bronson, was on Reddit. And
okay.
Yeah, and Bronson allowed me to share one of his stories. It was one on the shorties. It was actually the first one. It was about hearing some creepy stuff in like recording equipment.
Yes. So where I work, there's a lot of equipment that puts out like white noise just constantly. And like I'm the only one in a room, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear this like faint chatter come out of the white noise. I'm sitting there like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm the only one there, and I'm like, this is not very fun.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
I was later able to debunk it as radio interference.
Okay.
So that was kind of
yeah.
because whenever I have to work a night shift in this building, there's a room like behind the room that I have to stay in, and like I know I'm one of the only people there, or it's me and one other person, and I'll just hear footsteps like all throughout the night. It's really creepy.
Oh no, dude! The thing is that for a lot of people, there is always an explanation for why something is happening. So like, for you being able to say that it was radio interference, that's great. But what's the explanation for the footsteps in the hallway?
I wish I knew. I'm not the only one that's experienced this either.
Yeah.
So like, it was actually brought up to me by one of my superiors in kind of a casual conversation. But they were like, I was working the other night, and I actually thought someone showed up to work when they and then they went to go check the whole building, and there was no one there. And
that's so weird. Yeah. Why is it that like footsteps just linger around in a building?
I have a couple of working theories about a lot of things like that.
Oh, cool.
I go as far as to say like alternate dimensions or realities or time footsteps, things like that I just
I like it.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like, you hear footsteps, well, maybe in an alternate reality, I was walking down that hallway or something.
Yeah, multi-dimensional stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we like that kind of stuff. Cool. Well,
wait, can I ask something else?
Yep.
Okay. So these stories that you're going to tell, are they from your childhood or your adult life?
Adult life.
Okay, I'm just asking because I'm curious if your whole life, like even as a child, if you had any supernatural experiences as well. Like, have you always experienced this kind of stuff your whole life, or is it new?
Um, so I wasn't the kind of person who was like playing with Ouija boards or anything like that.
Okay.
I was kind of brought up in like a somewhat religious environment,
Okay.
but like I mean I didn't go to like church every Sunday and all that kind of stuff. But I started like paying attention, noticing whenever I became more interested in it. So
Okay.
I kind of found that, and this is still like another one of my theories, but as soon as, I dive more into it and I start actively paying attention and, watching scary movies, looking stuff up, like shit starts happening. And
Yeah.
really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like you
you've become more
attract it.
vulnerable. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. We
Cool.
smell what you're stepping in, Bronson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, is it Branson or Bronson? Did I pronounce it wrong? Did I pronounce your name wrong?
You pronounced it correctly.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay. I was just curious. So I guess, are you ready to tell a few of your stories?
Sure. Gosh, where do I start? I think one of the first experiences where that was pretty eye-opening for me personally was sorry if you hear the cars and traffic or the wind. We're under like
That's okay.
Tornado warning right now.
Oh, we can do this later.
No, it's fine. So I guess the first like experience that I remember was I took a trip like to New York and Boston for like a week, and I got home and my grandparents who I lived with had gone up to visit one of their daughters. So I get home to like an empty house, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And like I know I'm home alone, and like I'm just doing the normal thing, kind of hanging out, and then it's like time to go get a shower. Well, being the kind of careful person I am, I just like lock all the doors behind me just because. And I hear knocking like on my inside shower door, like that's inside the house. And like it was extremely distinct. Like I thought someone was there. I called out, hey, who's there? And it freaked me out. So I called one of my friends, and like he came over and we started kind of hearing something similar on like an outside window. And it actually freaked us out so bad we called the police because we thought someone was trying to come in. Like it was that real, I guess. I guess for two, adults to call the police on something like that.
Yeah. I mean, good job on your part. I mean, you're covering all your corners.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was before or after that, but I had an instance with someone trying to break in. And I don't actually know now, like looking back on the situation, there's no evidence that someone actually was trying to break in. But at the same time, it was just very strange. And it all happened like within a couple months of each other. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, that is creepy. Did you ever experience that again?
Like the knocking?
Yeah.
Not like that. Not that particularly. I had a couple of. So that's actually not my first experience. Now that I'm retelling the stories, I'm remembering. So this all started kind of happening when I was about 17-ish. I would notice that like doors would open themselves in my house. Like not that I would see them like actually swing open, but I mean, if you shut a door, the little latch thingy goes into the other part, and then you have to turn the knob to undo it. Well, I would walk through my house at like 3:00 in the morning, and one of those doors that's completely shut. I'd walk by it, go to the kitchen, walk back by it, and it'd just be wide open.
Oh,
I'm just like, you have to just look at that and be like, this ain't cool.
No.
Yeah. Did you ever ask your grandparents about it?
No. I don't talk to them about that, I guess.
Okay.
I was big into like demonology and all that in the time too. Like I had just seen The Conjuring, and I was very inspired by Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
So after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start doing my research. And then I started doing my research, and then weird stuff started kind of playing out. And I was like, well, it's not fun. Excuse me, I'm just gonna grab a jacket right here. But yes, so that's probably the first instance that I remember of something happening, I guess.
It's interesting that it seems like whenever we do start to get more open to the possibility of a paranormal realm or things that are outside our understanding, that we do notice more things in a way. I hear that with people that are doing research, that it's almost like it's attracted to them, or maybe they're just not brushing off every sound as being normal. But the thing with opening doors, not normal. And then also, Lindsay, I'm glad that you brought that up to see if if you talked to your grandparents about it, because for it to just happen just one time, you'd think that if it was like a pipe or something like that, it would do it every single time, but it wasn't. It was just that one.
So I guess there is one thing I did ask them about was it would in the same room that door would open. It was a bathroom, but the toilet would flush itself. And I did ask them, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And they were like, oh, it just does that. Well, why?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why so I feel a little bit better?
They just accepted
honestly,
it.
Honestly, I think I've heard of toilets flushing by themselves. I swear to God.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a thing. I think toilets sometimes, I don't know, maybe not. But doing the research and everything and being interested, like Rebecca's already touched on, it makes you more vulnerable and everything is more attracted to you for those types of things to happen. I completely agree. But I'm also curious if it was something that was just attached to you or attached to your grandparents' house, right?
So it's funny that you bring up the whole thing about attachments, because I actually do have a story about something like that as well.
Okay.
I have, like I said, I started paying attention to it and weird stuff started happening. So this is probably one of the weirdest things, I guess. When I don't want to say it's like a confirmation bias, but like when you experience something and then someone's like, yeah, and then they kind of explain something, but you haven't told them everything, and you're like, wow, that's weird how that lines up.
Right.
So I was big into like urban exploring, urban adventuring, that kind of thing. Like if there's old abandoned buildings, we would just go in them. I mean, obviously we probably weren't supposed to do that, but we do it anyways.
It's fun.
We found like an old dilapidated house in the middle of a field one time, and we went in it and, didn't really think anything of it. And like I go home that night, and on the car ride back, I was like itching my eye. And then like I wake up the next day and my eye's swollen shut. Like I can't open it, can't see out of it. And I was like, well, I must have gotten a piece of debris in it or something, like, doing all that. Well, I go to work and I was telling them about this house I'd found, and someone it was a town that was next to mine. So someone who actually lives there was like, hey, it wasn't this house, was it? And I was like, well, yeah, but I'd never told them about my eye. And they were like, well, legend has it, there was like a dentist or someone who used to kidnap people and cut their eyes out there.
Shut up!
And like, I was like, that's weird you say that, because I couldn't see out of one of my eyes after going into that house.
That's weird. That is so specific.
Yeah, I know. So that one had me really freaked out. And then after that happened, I have a friend I'm not sure how much I believe in like seeing auras kind of thing, but I was talking to him about like some of my experiences, and he like pulled me into a room. Like this is like at a party. He like pulled me aside, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And then he was like, hey, I think you have an attachment. And I was like, why do you say that? And he was like, I can kind of like see it reflecting on your aura, all this other stuff. I think you should go back to the house and cast this kind of, and then he drew a seal like on the doorstep. So being really freaked out and nothing else better to do, me and a couple of friends decided to go back to that house in the middle of the night. And we go into it, and we're walking around, and like me and one of my buddies walk in, and we just get a really uneasy feeling, like while we're in there. And me and him like go back to back in the main, in like the foyer area, foyer. I don't know how to say that word. And like half of my body gets really chilled, like my left half. And I was like, hey, did you just get cold? And he said, yeah, my right half did. Keep in mind, we're back to back, so that matches up with my left side.
Mm-hmm.
And about the time that we experienced that, like, I swear the house just went poof and shook. And then after that, I was like, all right, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
We did the little seal thing that my friend told me about. And then I think I went back there. No, I actually did go back there like 3 times, but I never like had any kind of experience after that. But yeah, that was probably the weirdest thing to ever come out of any experience. Cause that was like a direct attack on me. I felt like.
Yeah. Did the friend who showed you how to draw the seal, the one who said he saw something attached to you, did he go with you to the house?
No.
Okay.
He kind of refused. Like, I showed him a picture of the house, and like he was like, yeah, I'm not going there.
Wow.
Because I was curious if he has some type of ability that whatever was in there didn't like him being there with you. But that's not the case. So my theory is out of the water.
I've gone through every like possibility personally about that, and every time I'm just like, well, someone was trying to cut out my eye at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Man, that is freaky. Did the guy say what, like, just out of curiosity, going back to him seeing your aura, did he say what this thing looked like attached to you?
Again, this was probably 3 years ago for me, but if I'm remembering correctly, he was like, it's just like you have a rain cloud like following you. Like you ever seen the cartoons where like a thundercloud's following someone who's like really sad?
Yeah.
He was like, that's kind of what it appears like.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It's like a mist.
I don't know if it was like a mist, but I mean, again, no one else could see it. And he's the only person to like pull me aside. And it was interesting he did that because like after that, my experience with my eye, like, I felt kind of repressed in a way. It validated a lot of like personal feelings and then some weird stuff happening in my house. And I was like, all right, this is weird.
Man, that is weird.
It reminds me of like ectoplasm that was like following you. But usually, I mean, it could be only certain people can see the ectoplasm.
I can't.
It's usually a spirit of a person that's found like in an abandoned house or something like that. So it would make sense if it left the house and followed you. It's like a person's attached to you. It's creepy. Sorry, I started to get a phone call.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad that you had a resolution to that.
Yeah.
And in almost and like I'm not saying that this was an easy thing, but in a somewhat relatively easy way. So you were told to go back to the house, draw the symbol, and then that attachment left you?
It felt like it did. And again, like my friend was pretty religious, so he like prayed with me and did all that. And I don't know like what he was saying, but like, well, actually, I'm sorry. I was wrong. He actually did go to the house. I'm remembering now because he went through the house and he like flipped personalities, and it was like he was talking in another language that I didn't know. Like I couldn't even recognize what it was. Sorry, I'm just not remembering all this.
Yeah.
Like he's walking through and like I don't even know. It's like he was overcome. It almost looked like he was possessed. But he was like just walking through every room, ignoring everybody else, like just mumbling to himself.
Oh my
gosh. And eventually he was just like, yeah, I don't like this. We need to leave.
Dude, my theory's back.
Yeah.
Way to go.
They didn't like him. Yeah, I was right. They didn't like him.
Sorry. I went back to the house so many times I couldn't remember if it was the time that he went or the time that I went back with my other friends, or I don't know.
Yeah.
He kind of
No, that's
validated
interesting.
a lot of like, yeah, it was just weird to hear someone else say that to me. So
Yeah. That's never reassuring whenever your friend goes in talking a different language. I mean, I've had that experience before, but it was because me and my friend got so drunk that he started speaking Spanish while we were puking together. And he's like, I don't know how to speak Spanish. And it just comes out. Same exact thing, right? We were
Basically.
also infected by the spirits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you've had a lot of experience like in houses, and it sounds like with spirits. Is that like then at work, and it sounds like with spirits. Is there anything? Are there more spirits that you've had
like,
experiences with?
well, I remember this one really freaky story, and I don't know if it was just a coincidence, but I kind of don't believe in coincidences anymore.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound really funny, but there's a ghost radar app for iPhone. And
I've had that before.
okay, is it like the red one?
I think so. It was a while back that I had it, and I deleted it because I got scared.
Yeah, that thing freaked me out one good time. I was sitting there with one of my friends, and I was just talking to him, and I was explaining like some of these occurrences that I've been experiencing, and then I pulled out the ghost radar, and we were just sitting there, and it was going through, picking out stupid words randomly that made no sense, like blue, cat. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. But then it was like, it said desert. And then about that time, my buddy got a phone call from his friend whose flight got diverted and had to land in like Vegas in the desert. And we were like, that's kind of weird. And then it was like island or something. It was like water, ocean, island, something like that. And then the next like sentence my buddy on the phone said was, yeah, I'm just trying to get to Hawaii or like California. Like it just lined up so well that we were like, okay. Like my friend left. He was like, I don't know what kind of stuff you're dealing in here, but I don't know if I want any part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get that.
Do you still have the app, or did you delete it?
I go through periods where I'll keep it on my phone and then I'll delete it.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
That's too specific.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and even recently, like I started getting back into it, and I'm starting to like catch stuff out of the corner of my eye, and it's like just really, it's freaking me out again. So I don't know if it's time for me to like die off with it,
or go head first.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you had an experience soon, because the more you talk about it, the more you're open or vulnerable to more things happening to you.
Yeah.
So, just be careful.
And I've had experiences that weren't necessarily bad either. Like I had a very, very personal experience earlier this week, actually. So I have a dog and my wife's somewhere. But within, like right at the start of this coronavirus quarantine, my grandfather passed away. And I was not able to go home because of travel restrictions and things like that. So the other day, I was playing fetch with my dog, and I wasn't really paying attention to him. But then, like, finally, he was just being weird. So I looked down at him, and I made eye contact with him, and I swear to God, it was my grandpa looking at me. Like, it was just for that one split second. It was like, I wasn't looking at my dog. And, like, yeah, it was, like, extremely emotional. Like, I told my wife about it, because I'm really open to her about all my experiences. She doesn't have any, but so that actually happened like a few days ago.
Wow, that's really very sweet.
It was pretty comforting.
Yeah. He came and visited you the way that he could. Yeah, and dogs are like, what better animal to come in with than a dog?
Right.
Yeah, and then I decided it was a good idea to call my cousin, or one of my cousins is like really, really religious, and I just like I didn't know if she could have some advice or whatever. And she kind of freaked me out because she was like, "Well, did you feel comforted or uneasy?" And I was like, I mean, it made me extremely emotional. She was like, "Well, I'm just trying to make sure it wasn't like demonic." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Don't say that."
I know. Yeah.
I was like,
Don't
now
even
that
go
idea is
there.
going to be floating around, and
Oh, you just never know. But I mean, it is good to see where your feelings are, like how you felt in the situation, because I think that whenever you are dealing with the paranormal, your intuition is very important.
Yeah.
And so if you felt like this was comforting and a little bit sad, which I mean, honestly, who wouldn't be sad? But I don't know. I just feel like it was sweet.
Yeah, I do too. I was going to say follow your gut. And if your gut felt good, then I'm sure it was just fine. Like, I don't know. Take the experience for what it's worth. What's kind of interesting is that earlier you'd said that you didn't use Ouija boards or anything as a kid, but historically Ouija boards were used for family members to communicate with their family who had passed away, and they were really positive. And it was supposed to be like a family like gathering, an event to use them to talk to people who had passed on. They didn't get evil till the 80s, right? 80s, 90s?
Yeah, somewhere. 70s, 80s. Yeah. The Satanic Panic.
Yeah, so get a Ouija board. Get a Ouija board.
My wife might kill me if I did that. No, I don't use Ouija boards, but I do have a lot of like clothing and stuff that has like pentagrams on it and stuff. Just like, I don't know if you've like gone into a Spencer's, but they have the shirt that's like, "Let's summon demons, activities for children." I just love those shirts. Like, I love them.
Cute.
So I have a lot of those. And I'm like, well, imagery probably doesn't help.
I guess it all depends on how you. So the pentagram is supposed to be it's a symbol of a lot of different things, but it's supposed to be a symbol of like protection or security. And it's the four elements, and then the spirit element, and the circle around it is everything together. And a lot of what Hollywood has done is portrayed it as evil. So I guess if you have it upside down, that maybe is supposed to represent the devil. I don't know.
Well, is it like a five? I know it's a five-sided star in a circle, but like, how is a star orientated?
So upright, and then is like kind of a good omen or protection or whatever. The upside down, where the point is going down, I don't know if that symbolizes, Satan or whatever, but it is something that more of Hollywood has adopted into something sinister in a way.
Yeah.
I think symbols kind of play a lot bigger part. It's always interesting. Like, I was very intrigued by like the Freemasons and that kind of, because you see those symbols everywhere. And I had the opportunity once to actually be a part of a Freemason ceremony.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was very formal. It's like Knights in the Round Table kind of vibe the entire time. It was pretty weird. And, and I'm sure that they were, how do I put this? I'm sure that what I saw wasn't actually what goes on. But I mean, the whole, like, they carry swords engraved with symbols, and they have like a hierarchy of all this stuff. And like, I was walking through town the other day and I found the Freemason building. And here's the thing, here's a very interesting thing that I've learned to pay attention to. Freemason buildings don't have windows.
Oh, that's creepy.
If you ever look at a building that has a Freemason symbol and it's a Mason temple, it won't have windows, or they'll be blocked out.
Oh, wow.
But on the same building, there was an upside down star with a bunch of weird symbols in the star. Like, I was like, okay, it's kind of creepy.
That is interesting. And I guess a symbol can be whatever thought you put into it. They create something and it means something to them, and it might mean something different to somebody else.
That's not like the upside down cross got misconstrued too as a satanic symbol, but that's not at all what it's supposed to be. But it's just, I agree. It's probably the mindset you go into viewing a symbol with.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the upside down cross. What is it supposed to mean?
So there was, I don't know if it was an apostle or it, I'm not going to say a name because I'm going to be wrong, but there is a follower of Christ who, according to history or according to the Bible, was going to be crucified, and he only asked that he be crucified upside down because he did not feel worthy to be crucified in the same orientation as Christ.
Okay.
So it was like a symbol of respect, like, hey, we're unworthy, all this stuff. And then that got misconstrued as a satanic symbol.
That is so interesting.
It's
I
weird.
had absolutely no idea. Yeah.
No, I didn't either.
I like that. I'm going to.
It's the same thing. Hollywood does it all the time because even in movies, whenever someone's being possessed by a demon or whatever, the crosses will turn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. Fucking Hollywood.
Ruining everything.
They ruin everything. You can't have fun with anything anymore. They just
Illuminati is real and
yeah.
Oh man,
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing those stories. I love that story about your grandfather. I think that's so sweet.
I like that that's the one we walk away with. We're like, that was the best. It has a dog in it. Mm-hmm. And then it's sweet too. Yeah, it's always nice. I have a special place in my heart for spirits, really. And like, it's been over this last year since we've been doing the podcast that like, honestly, like the footsteps that you hear or the doors closing and opening, like I know it feels scary, and I'm not going to take away from your feelings on that because it is scary when it happens. But like typically whenever spirits are stuck on this earth, they're trying to get out and they want to be able to pass over, but they can't. And they send messages or kind of razzle people a little bit. And it's usually there's not a bad intent. It's usually someone who's stuck here who wants to leave. And it usually just makes me kind of sad. Like I think of the person walking up and down the hall and they're just not able to leave and they're looking for a way to get out, and it makes me sad. So those stories always make me, they're scary, especially when they happen. But then I also feel bad for the spirit because I want them to be able to, get on their journey. Yeah. Exactly. Find peace. So my perspective has changed on that. Now that shit in that house, I don't know what the hell that is, dude. That's scary stuff. That is scary stuff. He's messing with your eyes. He's like making you cold.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that guy.
Again, like I see, and I do agree that like, I think there's an obvious difference between something that was once of this earth and then something that just isn't. Mm-hmm. Because like I'll see stuff out of the corner of my eye that'll like freak me out. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
And then like in my last apartment, brand new apartment complex, like no one would have died in the room that I was in, kind of thing. And when I moved in, and I had an experience where I was laying down and I was asleep on a mattress on the floor, but for some reason, it was like I was lucid dreaming in a way. Mm-hmm. But it was like I could feel, it was like a hellhound, like pacing around the fucking mattress. Jeez. And but it was like I couldn't move. And then whenever I tried to like move, it was like you see in a movie where something like really quick just rushes you. And then it woke me up like really quick. And like I called she was my fiance at the time. I called her and I was like, I think I just encountered the devil, because it was it was like the darkest thing I've ever experienced, and it just freaked me the hell out.
Wow. Yeah. That is.
And then again, like you hear footsteps, and I asked someone, I was like, well, like no one's died here. It's a new building. And they were like, well, we did have one person who worked here who did like commit suicide at a certain point. Now they didn't do that in the building, but they still worked there. So I don't know if it was like a remnant, like a time remnant or.
Yeah. Wow. What do we know about hellhounds, Lindsay?
And I know nothing about religious stuff. That's where I'm no good. And I don't know much about demons and possessions and all that. Like the closest thing I know to anything demon related would be like the what are they called? Again, there's the W.
Wendigos?
Whatever. Wendigos. That's the closest thing I know. That's it. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been a religious person, and so I never really looked into any of it. I think you may know more, Becky.
I know. I mean, I'm just going to spout out just a tiny bit of information that I know about hellhounds or like graveyard dogs, and they might be two different type of things. But oftentimes there is like a black dog that is seen around cemeteries, in graveyards, and usually in areas where there is a church, and they're more kind of a protector, I think, of the grounds and the people that have died. This doesn't really sound like what you experienced, in my opinion, because it's not really in the same area, unless this hellhound or this dog was searching for maybe a lost soul or something like that. I don't know.
Then again, I could have just been lucid dreaming.
That too.
It would be the first and only time I've ever done that. So that's a little why I'm like, okay, because I've actively tried to lucid dream before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it like randomly happens and I had a quote unquote bad trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that could very much be it. And you could have gone to another dimension or something.
It's always going to be paranormal. We're always going to be, it's like, no, it wasn't anything normal. It wasn't a bad dream. Yeah.
But yeah, I just chalk it up to things I don't really know if I want to know.
Yeah.
That's true. You don't have to know either.
So this is a little off topic, but I'm just kind of curious. What kind of stories have y'all heard about like extraterrestrial activity? And how does that relate to paranormal people who have experienced paranormal things?
Yeah, we had actually a series of this one listener experiencer who had kind of gone through a lifetime of weird experiences. They started very young, and the first story was, and I'm telling this all on top of my head, so it's probably not going to go in sequence, but I remember it because it's a very good story. So this person, first time they experienced something was in their house, lots of flashing lights, doors opening and closing, cats fucking disappeared, like ran into the bedroom, never seen again after that. And just a weird experience of, something that they witnessed versus something that their mother witnessed, which was nothing that they had seen. So they were alone in the house. They experienced all these lights going on and off, noises, this overwhelming fear. And then they just wake up the next morning and it's gone. And then just throughout their life, having strange visions out of the corner of their eye that kind of evolve into taller, shadowy like figures, a fear of being watched, just kind of an overwhelming paranoia, not able to sleep without a light on or a movie on or something like that. And it just kind of led up to this one experience whenever everything clicked, everything made sense, and they knew exactly what had happened to them. So it's usually, so that's kind of what we get or what we hear, just, whenever we get these type of experiences. I don't think that we've had a whole lot of alien encounters, to be honest with you. We've had a couple of them, but that one,
or on the show.
On the show,
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't ever had one, which my mom, I think, has had one whenever we were all kids. But it is usually something that follows you whenever you're very young up until adulthood.
Yeah.
That's what I found interesting, because I've heard a lot of people say that there's some kind of correlation between extraterrestrial activity and paranormal activity, because I've also had two like UFO encounters, if you will.
Yeah.
One of them was I was in the desert in Texas, and I was just kind of staring into the night sky, whatever, just kind of enjoying the evening. And I watched it, and it was like a prism. It was like watching, so imagine like you look through a kaleidoscope, and there's no like of the fancy colors, but it's just like light shifting.
Yeah.
It was like that, but constantly moving across the sky.
Wow.
And I could see it distort the images behind it. So I knew that, I wasn't looking at the same place. Like, it was obviously something moving, and that really freaked me out. I was like, okay. And then for my job currently, this happened a couple months ago. So what I do is I'm an air traffic controller. And I talk to airplanes, stuff like that. Well, I had a pilot call up and just say, hey, are you showing anything above us? And I was like, no, not at all. And he was like, oh, well, I'm showing about 15 or 20, aircraft above me, and they're all moving. He said they're all evenly spaced, and they're all moving at a very constant pace. And I was like, okay, well, from your current position, like, you're like 3 miles in the air. And he was like, so I asked him, how high do you think they are? And he said, if I'm 3 miles in the air, they're probably 6 miles up or something. He said I was like, yeah, I can't see them. So I asked him, I was like, do you think they're UFOs? And he said, I'm not going to confirm or deny because I'll lose my license. That's all he said.
Shut the fuck up. I'm so excited.
And I was like, okay, so that's a little weird.
Yeah.
They all flew like...
Yeah, he said they were all like evenly spaced and just like coasting across the sky at extremely high altitudes. I was like,
I don't like to talk about aliens and UFOs because the more you talk about them, they know, and like it just freaks me out. And I am terrified of aliens. I'm terrified of them. And I got a tattoo. I got a tattoo of a UFO, and then I immediately regretted it because they are not fun. Because it was shortly after that I read somebody's experience on the show. And then I was like, I'm fucking scared now. I'm fucking scared. I hate them. I'm scared of them. And then I watched The Fourth Kind, and I was done. Oh my God. I can't believe you guys are talking about this stuff.
And, I'm constantly trying to debunk things. I mean, you can see the space thing in the background. I have a tattoo of a rocket ship. I majored in physics in college.
Cool.
Just like 2 years.
A smarty pants.
Well, I like outer spacey stuff, but
that's cool.
So I'm always going to try to like scientifically debunk everything, all my experiences. But so far, all the stories that I've told, I'll tell you if I'm able to debunk them, and so far that's only been the radio chatter. So
yeah. Oh man. That's cool. What do they say about science? That it's magic until it's scientifically proven, or something like that. I can't remember what the saying goes, but I do feel like there is a lot of correlation to science and paranormal activity in a way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It is just that until we can figure out exactly what it is, we're just going to call it something that's out of the realm of normal. Yeah. What do you think?
I found it very interesting that the Navy came out and was like, yeah, UFOs are real.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to go.
They're like, we're in the water down here, but we're pretty sure there's the UFOs. Well, I need them to talk about mermaids.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But have you watched like what the Navy put out about that?
I've seen part of it, but I understand that that's not really the whole thing either. I understand that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
From what I saw, it was recording from the inside of a fighter jet, and it was them tracking an object, and they were like, man, that thing's moving real fast. And then someone was like, literally, one of the pilots was talking to the other pilot, was like, dude, what the fuck is that? And he was like, I don't know. So
yeah, and I think there was even a part where he said something where they were like, there's more of them, or it just indicated that there was more than just one, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kudos to them for coming out about it. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own theory, or maybe they don't have their theory about it. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just cool that they would come out and say, like, yeah, we've seen something that we don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. So, way to go.
I'm just waiting on them to, tell us we've made contact. But,
fingers crossed.
With the way 2020 is going, I wouldn't be surprised.
They're just going to slide that in. It's just going to be like, by the way, we have aliens, and we're going to be like, whatever.
Yeah, at this point,
this place is burning down to the ground. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But also talking about like it, when you talk about extraterrestrial activity and paranormal activity, it reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, I was going to reference that.
Yeah.
Because there's the combination of all those things happening in one place, and it's like a hub or a portal or whatever for all those things to happen. So there's that correlation with them. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now in relation. I wish I could remember the story that really freaked me out that I told. Do you remember? You don't remember? No. It was just, geez, I've been done with aliens ever since.
Yeah.
Those creepy guys.
I think I'm definitely less afraid. Well, I wouldn't say I'm afraid of either, extraterrestrial or paranormal, but I couldn't care about aliens, honestly. But, I can't see ghosts, so.
That's true.
Ghosts don't do awful experiments on you. And usually if you're like, leave me alone, they're like, all right.
I mean, sometimes there's some
psychological
assholes.
Experiments.
Oof.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Sally House?
Is that like another murder house?
To be honest, I can't really remember if there was a murder that took place there. I just know it's haunted as fuck. And it's not the type, Lindsay, where they're nice and they'll go away. They take shit from you. They bite you. They scratch you. I appreciate your defense of spirits, because I think for the most part it's true, but I think there's just some assholes out there too.
There are. They'll bite and scratch you, and then it's like a relationship. You have to decide, do I want to continue to do this or not? And you say, I don't, and so you leave. You don't stay.
Okay. You have the clingy girlfriend who's like, you can't go, and they just follow you, and
there you go. Yeah. But you also have the clingy ghost, because apparently Bronson has experienced that too.
That's true.
Yeah. It fucks with your aura. It leaves you with a rain cloud, and then you have to go back.
I would say that those aren't spirits. I think that there's something else going on there. There's more demonic that's there.
Okay.
In my opinion. I almost feel like those were never human.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That brings in a whole nother realm of discussion in itself, because if they're not human, what are they? And then
they're demons.
You're either going to confirm or deny certain belief systems at that point, and then it's just weird.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any other stories you'd like to share with us?
I think I pretty much told them all that I can remember.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I'll put all of your contact information, at least your socials that you want to leave with us in the show notes, so that you guys can check out his photography and read the original story on Reddit. Yeah. Anything else, Lindsay?
No, I think I'm going to do research on Hellhounds, though. We should do an episode on it.
Yeah, we should. All right. Anyways, let's do this outro.
Yeah. So thank you for joining and sharing your stories. And if anybody else would like to share their stories or maybe be on the show, we can certainly arrange that. Just send us an email at ihaveastrangestorypodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to, get the ball rolling on that shit.
And subscribe, rate us, and review us. If you do give us a review, please give us a nice review and take a snapshot of that review. Email it to us with your physical mailing address, and we will mail you some stickers. And we're not having anybody send us anything anymore because you're supposed to be staying
over.
at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.